We've all been asked to find a main idea or supporting details, but how do we find the main idea and supporting details in a text? And how do we write down a main idea to get our thoughts across clearly? By now, we all know or have been taught that main idea is what a text is mostly about, or it's the most important point the author is trying to tell us about the topic. We also know that supporting details tell more about the main idea. As we read, we should think about what all the details tell us about. Then we can add up all those details to figure out a main idea. So let's practice adding up some details to figure out what they are all telling us about. I go into my kitchen and I get plates, knives, forks, and cups out of the cupboards and drawers to put on the table. What is the main idea? Let's do one more simple practice. I go outside, roll 3 large snowballs, and stack them on top of each other. I put a carrot in the top and sticks in the middle. What is my main idea? So, what do you do when you know what the main idea is, but you have to write it down? You ask yourself, who or what is the author mostly talking about, and what about it? For example, I read a story called Why Cats Always Wash Themselves After Eating. To determine my main idea, I asked myself, who or what do all the details tell me about? And what about it? Well, this story is mostly about a hungry cat who is trying to eat a tricky bird for dinner. Now that I have the main idea in my head, I can write it down. So I write, the story is mostly about a cat who is trying to eat a tricky bird for dinner. Let's practice a story we all know, The 3 Little Pigs. Get out your whiteboard. Remember to think who or what and what about it. I wrote, the story is mostly about a wolf who is trying to get into the homes of 3 pigs. So, boys and girls, the next time you are asked to find a main idea, just ask yourself who or what and what about it.
Created using Powtoon.
Right. Good morning, students.
Good morning, teacher.
So, how are you?
Teacher.
I'm fine.
All right. So, have you watched the video that I have given in the WhatsApp group?
Yes.
Okay. What is it all about?
Main idea and supporting idea.
Main idea and also supporting
Idea.
details. Okay. So, what do you know about main ideas and supporting details? I think you have learned this before, right? When you were in Form 1 or maybe your primary schools, is it?
Yes.
Okay, so do you think that main idea and supporting details are hard to find in text?
Sorry, teacher.
Do you think that main idea and supporting details are hard to find in the text that you have read?
Not really.
Not really. But if the text is harder, of course you feel a bit difficult to find which one is the main idea and also the supporting details, right?
Yes.
Good morning, students. So, have you watched the video that I have provided you in the WhatsApp group? So, basically, that is just about main idea and also supporting details. So, now I'll be explaining more to you guys what are the main ideas and also supporting details. Okay, now let's look. What is the main idea all about? So, the main idea is the big point or the most important idea that the writer is communicating to the reader. Often, the reader can find the main idea just by looking at the title. Main idea is like the heart of the text or paragraph. and it is the controlling idea of the text. Alright, what about supporting details? So supporting details prove the value of the main idea. Now, let's look the example of main idea and supporting details. Alright, this is the example of reading text. Okay, now I read for you guys. Alright, the rainforest is home to many creatures. Monkeys, toucans, and macaws live in the rainforest. Butterflies and anteaters also live in the rainforest. So, from this reading text, what do you think the main idea is? Okay, these are the choices of answer. Let's look one by one. Okay, A, we have sloth and tapirs are other creatures that live in the rainforest. B, the rainforest is home to many creatures. And C, monkeys, toucans, and macaws live in the rainforest. So what do you think the answer of this main idea? So definitely the answer is B. The rainforest is home to many creatures. Okay, now let's look at the reading text again. So where is the rainforest is home to many creatures located? Okay, it is from the first sentence. Okay, so how about monkeys, toucans, and macaws live in the rainforest, and butterflies and anteaters also live in the rainforest. So basically, these two are the supporting details that support this main idea. Okay, so do you guys understand? So basically, this is all about main idea and also supporting details.
Okay, now since you have watched the video about main ideas and also supporting details, so have you watched my video that I have included in the WhatsApp group?
Yeah.
What I have explained to you guys?
Yes, but I just watched a little bit.
You watch a little bit. Alright, what about Cindy and Tivia?
Yes, teacher.
Have you watched my video regarding what I have explained to you guys? The main ideas and also supporting details and also the examples. Can you understand or you do not understand?
I can understand little bit only, teacher.
So I think it is very simple, right? Actually the explanation is very straightforward and I don't use any like difficult words or complex words to explain what is main idea and also supporting details. Okay, now right now you have the text with you, right? The reading text. Can I have two volunteers to read the reading text? Or maybe if any one of you would like to read the text, you are welcome to do that. So, who's gonna be the first reader? Divya, Cindy, Akila Zulaika. Who's going to read first?
Wait.
Cindy, you want to start?
Which one, teacher? All of them.
Or Divya want to start first to read the reading text?
Teacher. Yeah.
Yes?
Can I start?
Yes. Sure.
In ancient times,
Okay.
people tried to explain the world around them based on what they saw. People in ancient times saw that the sun came up from one side of the earth and moved across the sky, and went down on the other side. Based on their observation, they believed that sun travels around the earth, going directly from observation to conclusion is called non-scientific thinking.
All right. You can just continue, Divya.
Okay. Here's an example of non-scientific thinking. Maybe you had a sick stomach and ate a candy bar. An hour later, you observe that you felt much better. You might think that there are other possible explanations for the observation. Maybe you had taken some medicine an hour earlier, and it took a while to work. Maybe enough time had passed and you would have felt better without eating the candy bar. Non-scientific thinking happens all the time. The scientific method is a way of thinking that helps you to avoid drawing incorrect conclusions. It does this in three ways. First, it helps you to avoid non-scientific thinking. It also reminds you to treat your first conclusion as one of several possible conclusions. Finally, it reminds you to gather evidence to support your conclusion.
All
The
right.
five
Thank you,
steps.
Divya.
Okay.
So, who's going to read the last paragraph? Cindy?
Wait,
Cindy or Wan Nurul Akila? Or maybe Akila Zulaika. Akila Zulaika, you want to try?
wait. I want to find text. Wait, paragraph 4 ke?
Yes. The last paragraph.
The 5 step in the scientific method begins by questioning an observation and end with a conclusion that is based on evidence. Step 1 in the scientific method is to ask a question about your observation, such as what makes a sick stomach feel better. Step 2 is to state a possible answer to the question or a hypothesis, such as a candy bar makes a sick stomach feel better. Step 3 is is to test the hypothesis. This can be done in many different ways. You could wait until you have a sick stomach again, eat a candy bar and see what happens. Ask a lot of people if eating a candy bar had ever made a sick stomach feel better. Figuring out how to test a hypothesis is what makes science challenging. Step 4 think about the finding. Think about what happened when you tested the hypothesis. Step 5. Draw a conclusion and share it with the rest of the world.
All right. Thank you to Tivia and also Akila Zulaika.
Explanation of reading text. Paragraph 1. So in paragraph 1, it tells you about in ancient times, people tried to explain the world around them based on what they saw. So here, people in ancient times saw that the sun came up from one side of the earth, moved across the sky, and went down on the other side. Alright, so basically that one is the explanation of paragraph 1. So moving on to paragraph 2. So paragraph 2, it tells you about the example of non-scientific thinking. So it tells you the example of a candy bar. So for example, maybe you had a sick stomach and ate a candy bar. An hour later, you observe that you felt much better. So you might conclude that it was the candy bar that made you feel better. But there are other possible explanations for the observation. Alright, in paragraph 3, okay, so here, the scientific method is a way of thinking that helps you to avoid drawing incorrect conclusions. So it does this in 3 ways. Like it helps you to avoid non-scientific thinking. It reminds you to treat your first conclusion as one of several possible conclusions, and it also reminds you to gather evidence to support your conclusion. Meanwhile, in the last paragraph, which is paragraph 4, okay, it tells you about 5 steps in the scientific method in which you can draw a conclusion that is based on evidence. It tells you about 5 steps, like the steps 1. It tells you about scientific method is to ask the questions about your observation. Step 2 is to state a possible answer to the question. Step 3 is to test the hypothesis. And step 4 is to think about the findings. And the last step, which is step 5, is to draw a conclusion.
From the text that you have read just now, do you encounter any difficult words that you don't understand? Tell me which one. Is there any words that you don't understand the meaning of it? Or you have already found the meaning of it, but you still don't understand? Any difficult words?
No.
Sure?
Yes.
Okay, if you are sure, I would like to ask, what does it mean by non-scientific in paragraph 1?
Teacher, say it back.
Yes. Can you see in paragraph 1? There is a word non-scientific thinking. What does it mean?
Think.
Can you find it? Divya, what does it mean by non-scientific thinking?
Not relating to science or something like that.
Not really think about what? Science? Cindy, what do you
Yeah.
think? Cindy? Akila Zulaika, what do you think? Non-scientific thinking.
I don't know how to translate.
What do you think? What come across to your mind?
Can I
You know
say in
thinking? Yes, you can.
non-scientific thinking is buat keputusan.
Buat keputusan. Alright, Cindy, do you have any other answer? No. So basically, non-scientific thinking means logic. You don't think logically. Faham tak? Understand?
Open-minded.
Yes.
Sorry, one Akila? What is it?
Open-minded.
Open-minded? not really. Non-scientific thinking is more likely when you use your personal experience. Understand? Personal experience. What you have encounter, what you have saw, or you feel, you use that one as a what? As your thinking. Okay, understand? Okay, what about ancient?
The
What does it
past,
mean by ancient?
the past.
Yes, something past. Okay, old, something past or old. All right. So I think that's the only two words that give you a bit confused about this. Now you can rearrange the events. You have read the reading script now, right? Now I want you to rearrange. Which one is number 1, 2, 3, and 4? Can you do it now? Can you see the question?
Yes.
All right, are you done?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me the answer? Which one comes first?
The last one.
The last
Moving
one.
directly from observation to conclusion is called non-scientific thinking.
Going directly from observation to conclusion is called non-scientific thinking. So this one would be number?
One.
Yes, very good. Number 1. What about number 2?
Non-scientific
Scientific
thinking
happens
happens
all
all
the
the
time.
time.
All right, non-scientific thinking happens all the time. Yes, correct. Number 3?
The scientific
Method is a way of thinking that helps you to avoid drawing incorrect conclusions.
Yes, the scientific method is a way of thinking that helps you to avoid drawing incorrect conclusions. And the last one?
The five in the scientific method
Steps in the
begin by
scientific
questioning an
method began
observation
by
and end with a conclusion
observation and with a conclusion that is a conclusion that is based on evidence.
All right, so the 5 steps in the scientific method begin by questioning and observation and end with a conclusion that is based on evidence. All right, very good. This one is easy, right? The question is
Yeah.
because you have read the text like a lot, like many times you have read it. What would be a good title for this whole article? What do you think?
Non-scientific thinking.
Non-scientific thinking.
non-scientific
Non-scientific thinking. Are you sure? Is there any other answer?
No.
a candy bar.
Candy bar? That is not about the whole article, right? About candy bar. But maybe I can consider for the non-scientific.
Thinking.
Yes, non-scientific thinking. All right. All right. Now, what you gonna do is you have to identify the main idea and also supporting details from the text that you have read. Can you? I give you about 10 to 15 minutes to do it. Okay? As for now, you can do on your own first and then you share with me your answer. All right?
What is it, sir? I can't hear you.
You can do on your own first the main idea and supporting details. All right? And after 10 to 15 minutes, I will get back to you. Okay? You can share your answer.
Okay.
All right? Okay, let me show you the question. Okay, can you see the question?
No. Oh yeah, no.
Okay,
Now I
all
think.
right. So
Yes,
I give you about
I can
10 to
see.
15 minutes. What Akila, can you see?
Yes.
All right. So about 10 to 15 minutes, you fill in the box provided with your answer for main ideas and also supporting details for each paragraph. Okay, you can do it now. So are you guys ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you done everything?
Yes.
Sure. What about Divya, Cindy? Have
Yes,
you
yes.
done?
Yes.
All right. Can you turn on your camera? Okay, let's discuss.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And also mic. All right. Okay, I'll share it again. Okay. All right. Paragraph 1, you have read just now. So, can you tell me what is the main idea for paragraph 1? Anyone would like to share?
Me.
Okay, go.
People and it, people in ancient times believed that the sun travel around the earth.
People
He
in ancient times,
believed that the sun travel around the earth.
people in ancient times believe that the sun travels around the earth. Yes, very good, correct. So, how do you think that's the answer for the main idea? Why do you think so?
Because
Because
people in ancient times thought that the sun came up from one side of the earth.
yes, so basically that's the whole idea of the paragraph
That
1. Yes, I mean the paragraph 1 only. All right, what about the supporting details? How do you find it? How do you recognize whether it is the supporting details or not? Can you tell me what's your answer for supporting details?
they believe that the sun travels around the world, going directly from observation to conclusion is called
All right, so they believe that the sun travels around the earth. Okay, that one is the supporting details for number 1.
non-one.
So number 2,
Going directly from observation conclusion is called
yes, very good. Number 2 would be going directly from observation to conclusion is called non-scientific thinking. All right, very good. What about paragraph 2? What is the main idea for paragraph 2?
Maybe the
Here
uh,
is here is
Okay,
here
who's
is
going to
an
share?
example of
Paragraph 2.
me.
Okay, read. What's your answer?
Here is an example of non-scientific thinking. Main idea.
Main idea. Are you sure? Are you sure that is the main idea? It is not really accurate. Okay, can you tell me which one is the most accurate one for the main idea for paragraph 2?
Maybe you had a sick stomach and ate a candy bar.
better without eating the candy bar.
Maybe you would.
Have felt better without eating the candy bar.
Maybe you would have felt better without eating the candy bar. Yes, that's the accurate one and the correct one for the main idea for paragraph 2. Very good. So, what about the supporting details? There are 4, I think, the supporting details from here. So, can you share? Who's gonna share? Supporting details for paragraph 2.
Maybe you had taken some medicine an hour earlier.
Maybe you had taken some medicine an hour earlier.
Um,
Continue and it took
a while to work.
to work. All right. So that's the first supporting details. What about another 3 supporting details? What do you think?
You might conclude that it was the candy bar that made you feel better.
All right, very good. You might conclude that it was the candy bar that made you feel better. All right. What about the third one?
Maybe enough time had passed and you would have felt better without eating the candy bar.
Maybe that's not really accurate. That's just an explanation.
Non-scientific thinking happens all the time.
Non-scientific thinking
Happens
happens all the time. This one also
all
an
the time.
explanation. What about the rest? Another 2 supporting details.
Maybe you had taken some medicine an hour earlier and it took a while to work.
That one is the first supporting details. Number 2, you might conclude that it was the candy bar that made you feel better. What about the third and the fourth supporting details?
But there are others possible explanations for the
Yes,
observation.
very good. But there are other possible explanations for the observation. Alright, that one is the third supporting details. What about the last supporting details for paragraph 2? The one that Wan Akila mentioned just now.
Here is an example of non-scientific thinking.
Yes. And then you continue. Maybe you had a sick stomach and ate a candy.
Candy bar.
Yes. Very good. So basically it has 4 supporting details for paragraph number 2. Alright, move on to paragraph number 3. What is the main idea for paragraph number 3?
First, it helps you to avoid non-scientific thinking.
And
It also reminds you to read
main idea. Main idea first, Cindy.
The scientific method is a way of thinking that helps you to avoid drawing incorrect conclusions.
Yes, very good, Tivia. The scientific method is a way of thinking that helps you avoid drawing incorrect conclusions. Alright, so Tivia,
Yes, teacher?
how do you find this main idea for paragraph 3? Why you think so?
Because the paragraph is about scientific methods.
Yes, because the paragraph is about scientific method. So what about the supporting details? It has only one supporting details here.
First, it helps you to avoid non-scientific thinking. It also reminds you
First, it helps.
to avoid
It helps you to avoid non-scientific thinking. And then
it also reminds
it also reminds you
you to treat your first
to treat your
conclusion
conclusion, okay?
as one of several possible conclusions.
All right. Finally,
Finally, support your
gather evidence to support your conclusion. All right, very good. So, for the last paragraph, the long paragraph, paragraph 4, what is the main idea? What do you think is the main idea? There are a lot of, I think, information you can extract from here, but somehow it might confuse you. So what do you think is the main idea?
The 5 steps in the scientific method begins by questioning an observation and end with a conclusion that is based on evidence.
Why do you think that is the main idea? The scientific method begins by questioning an observation and ends with a conclusion that is based on evidence. Why do you think this is the main idea, Tivia?
Because in the paragraph they are telling the steps that you need to do.
Yes, because in the paragraph, it tells you about
The
paragraph.
steps.
the,
Steps.
the scientific method. All right. So what about the supporting details? I think it has a lot of supporting details here, about 5. Yeah. So can you tell me which one is the supporting details?
Step 1 in the scientific method is to ask a question about your observation, such as what makes the sick stomach feel better.
All right, step 1 in the scientific method is to ask a question about your observation, such as what makes a sick stomach feel better. All right, good, very good, Tivia. So what about second supporting details?
Step 2 is to state a possible answer to the question a antibiotic makes the sick feel better.
So supporting details number 2 would be step 2 is to state a possible answer to the question or a hypothesis such as a candy bar makes a sick stomach feel better. Yes, correct. Very good. What about supporting details number 3? Anyone? Number 3?
Step 3 is to test the hypothesis. This can be done in many
Step 3 is to test the hypothesis.
yeah.
Only that? So this can be done in
different ways.
continue. All right. So step 3 is to test the hypothesis. This can be done in many different.
Ways.
All right. So and then
You
You
could
could what?
wait until you have a sick stomach again. Eat a candy bar and see what's
Okay.
happened.
All
You
right.
could ask a lot of people if eating a candy bar had ever made stomach.
Good better.
Figuring out how to test a hypothesis is what makes science challenging.
All right. Figuring out how to test a hypothesis is what makes science challenging. All right. Very good.
Belum lagi.
What about step 4?
Step 4 is to think about the finding. Think about what happened when you tested the
All right. So supporting details number 4 would be step
hypothesis.
Step 4 is to think about the findings. Think about what happened when you tested the hypothesis. And the last supporting details?
Step 5 is to draw a conclusion and share it with the rest of the world.
Yes, very good. Step 5 is to draw a conclusion and share it with the rest of what is main idea, what is supporting details. In your own words.
Main idea is the budget.
Main
Main
idea.
idea is I don't know.
Teacher, I don't know how to translate.
It's okay, you can translate.
Main idea is easy. Supporting
Main idea is what?
Main idea tu dia terangkan satu benda semua and then supporting idea tu macam isi-isi dia lah. Something like that.
Main idea tu like what?
easy.
Main idea is
Isi.
Dia
The content.
terangkan semua. The content.
So what
Pendahuluan
does it
bagi
mean?
satu permit.
What does it mean by main? What is the meaning of
important.
you know what is the meaning of idea? Main is what?
Important.
Important, yes. Important or utama. Right. So idea utama. For what? It can be for the whole
Paragraph.
article, it can be also for each paragraph. But in our lesson today, you have to find the main ideas for each of the paragraph. Yes. All right. It will be more specific for you to find the main idea. Okay. So what about supporting details?
Cepatlah. Dah off lah.
Support the idea.
Supporting details to support the ideas, or you can say it can be the explanation.
Yeah.
The main idea. All right. So now, as for today, you have to understand everything, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are you feel headache? Learn main idea and supporting details. You know what? This is very important because you're gonna use this in your PT3 and also SPM. Okay. Use the poster that I have sent it to WhatsApp group. You can use it till your SPM, and I also will provide those materials in the Google Classroom. Alright, so that's all for today. Thank you everyone. Thank you for joining the class today. Okay?
Thank you, teacher.
Alright, welcome.